Now, Rodrigo was left out of Real Madrid's team for their recent Club World Cup, and I really think that there is some uncertainty in his future. Now, it's been reported in the past as well, he feels like he is below Jude Bellingham, Vinicius, Mbappe as well in the pecking order of importance at Real Madrid. And now with the inclusion of Mastantuono that they've brought in, Arda Güler seems to have a spot in the club under Xabi Alonso. I think it's time for Rodrigo to leave, and I felt like that for the last 12 months. Now, there are some destinations that he could definitely end up at, but I think the likelihood could be Arsenal, and there's so many reasons why. So let me know your thoughts down below. Be sure to hit the like button, be sure to subscribe as well if you are new here. Now, let's start with the most obvious conversation is about his goal contribution or his involvement in Real Madrid over the last couple of seasons. Now, particularly in the season that has just passed, I felt like Rodrigo had a very underwhelming campaign, whether it was in the Champions League, whether it was in La Liga. He had the lowest number of tallies in goals in comparison to the last couple of seasons he has in La Liga. He only had 6 goals in comparison. Previous, he had 10. The year before, even that, he had 9. In terms of the Champions League, he's been consistent, and it's very weird to see this, that in the last 4 Champions League campaigns, he has consistently scored 5 goals every year. Now, that just shows to me that he has failed to improve on the prior season, and that's applicable if you take into consideration his entire involvement of all campaigns every single season for Real Madrid. Now, let's start with the biggest talking point when it comes to talking about Rodrigo. It's probably the fact that he's playing in a position that he does not prefer to play in. Now, he prefers to play on the left. He is right-footed, and we've seen that assist that he had in the first game in the Club World Cup for Real Madrid against Al Hilal. You've seen what he can do coming off the right-hand side, but when he's played for Real Madrid on the right-hand side, I just feel like there's been so many games that it has completely nullified any impact that he could potentially have in the game. Now, in the first game against Al Hilal under Xabi Alonso, you saw Rodrigo hugging the touchline quite a lot. Trent Alexander-Arnold, as a result, is tucking in, playing central, picking up spaces behind the striker and even central next to Tchouaméni if necessary. But even then, when you think back to last season, I think that his involvement in a lot of games, and there's some games that stick out to me, like the El Clasicos, like the Champions League run under Real Madrid, he's just nothing. No value added, no importance, no level of involvement. And even if you feel like you are below some players in the pecking order of importance, I think if anything that should add some fire to your belly to make you want to outperform them. Now, Vinicius himself has not been the same, in my opinion, since his injury after and also the Ballon d'Or situation. He hasn't really been the same, but he still has had some decent goal contribution and has come up big in some games for Real Madrid. I have said this for the last 12 months. If really Rodrigo wants to be the man, and he wants to be the star, and he wants to be this level and this caliber of player that he believes he can be, he has to leave Real Madrid. Not only because he thinks that he's living in the shadows of these players, but also because I think when it comes to superstarness, if you want to call it that, these players carry a lot more of that than he does. Now, he has come up big for Real Madrid in some huge games, and you don't know what Champions League games I'm talking about. But over the last year or so, I definitely feel like he could have more value and more importance and can make a bigger difference if he left Real Madrid. Now, you look at teams that are looking for a left winger right now. Bayern Munich are looking for a left winger. Chelsea are looking for a left winger. Arsenal are looking for a left winger. Maybe even Liverpool are looking for a left winger. But out of all the teams that I just named, I think Rodrigo to Arsenal just makes sense. Number one, I think Arsenal don't have outside of Bukayo Saka, there isn't really a superstar in their front line. Rodrigo could carry that weight with Bukayo Saka. Number two, he's playing on his preferred side, playing on the left-hand side, coming off of the left-hand side. Now, of course, I think the financial implications of maybe signing a player like Rodrigo, Arsenal have shown before in the past that they're willing to, dip into their pockets and spend big on a player that they really want. And I think Rodrigo could really be that player, especially because of the other left wingers that are available on the market right now. And I think Arsenal, out of everyone, Chelsea, Bayern, etc., I think they are the ones that are in need of a superstar in their front line alongside Bukayo Saka. So Rodrigo just makes sense. Now, the only other left wingers out there in the market available right now are people like Luis Diaz, who's potentially going to leave Liverpool. You've got Gittins, who potentially is going to join Chelsea. Rafael Leao, who's expected to leave. Nico Williams, who's on his way to Real Madrid's rivals Barcelona. Bayern Munich are looking for a left winger, and they are pushing to get Nico Williams as well. But Rodrygo to Arsenal just makes sense. He brings that flair, he brings that passion, he brings that level of individualism as well as that level of being a team player, because he's shown already that he can be a team player and play second fiddle to the likes of Vinicius, Bellingham, Mbappe, etc. And that's not me saying that he's never been a good player, because despite that, and I feel like I said, he's had a very underwhelming campaign for Real Madrid in the last season. I know that there's a player there. I think everyone knows that there's a player there, and when a player is no longer happy in maybe his environment, and he maybe feels like he's no longer the main star. I don't think he was ever the main star. Even when Benzema was there, I don't think he was the main superstar there. I still think he was second fiddle there. And with the emergence of people like Arda Güler, Brahim Diaz is still figuring out where he fits in the team. Mastantuono has come in to Real Madrid in the summer transfer window. I think that just shows that maybe Xabi Alonso is looking down a path where he has a squad that does not include the likes of Rodrigo. And I think him not playing their second game in the Club World Cup is a big telling sign. Now, I think Arsenal have put, leading up to the summer transfer window, there was a lot of talk about potentially signing Alexander Isak. I don't think that's going to happen. I actually think if Arsenal want to sign a game changer for themselves, a player that will take their attack up a notch, someone that can share the burden with the likes of Bukayo Saka. And yes, it's not Alexander Isak-esque in terms of a number 9, but Rodrigo on the left, an upgrade from Martinelli. And if Martinelli does leave, then I think he would be an upgrade. It just makes sense. Now, him going to the likes of Chelsea for me doesn't make any sense, just because I feel like Chelsea isn't the place or the type of team to be buying a ready-made star. They seem to buy on potential. Bayern Munich makes sense as well, but I just don't know what's the likelihood of him going to Bayern Munich. And with all the other left wingers, like I said, available on the market, Rodrigo is the best player as a left winger that is available, if he is actually available. I think Real Madrid maybe they're looking to move him on, and probably they could get a good fee for him. I think they could, in a market where I'm seeing the likes of Gittins going potentially for 50-60 million, I think Rodrigo could easily go for 80-90 million pounds. Generally speaking, I think he could generally go for that price tag. I want to know what Real Madrid fans think, whether they want him to leave, whether they are excited about the possible inclusion of the likes of Arda Güler and Mastantuono. And I just think with the way that I saw Real Madrid play over the last couple of games under Xabi Alonso, I just think it doesn't make sense for a player like Rodrigo to play on the right hand side when you have Arda Güler available, and because of Trent's inclusion at right back. Let me know your thoughts down below, guys, especially if you're a Real Madrid fan. If you're Arsenal fans, let me know your thoughts as well. Be sure to hit the like button, guys. Be sure to subscribe as well if you're new here.